Okay, so still dealing with this question for Boys Unlimited, right? We've calculated the production costs for marginal costing and the production cost for absorption costing. Now we need to make the profit statement, okay, using both methods, marginal and absorption costing. So I'll start with marginal costing because it's the most consumer friendly. Then we'll go to absorption. Okay. So let's start for the marginal costing profit statement. All right. So after you've usually the first step is you need to calculate the costs per unit, which we've already done. Next, we need to find out what our closing inventory is. Okay. So we come to this information here about production and sales. Okay. So in this question, we do not have any opening inventory. All right. So we have to find out, okay, what is our closing inventory? So this is the formula for closing inventory. Closing inventory equals opening inventory plus units produced minus units sold. Right? So for July, let's see what our closing inventory is. There is no opening inventory, so that is 0. Units produced 16,500 minus units sold 12,500. So we're going to say 16,500 minus 12,500. That gives us 4,000 units. Okay. So that is our closing inventory, 4,000 units. Okay. So these are the first steps. Sometimes the question will just tell you calculate the profit using a margin and absorption costing. So you need to know the first thing you need to do, get the cost per unit for each product or for the product. Then get your closing inventory. Okay, get your closing inventory. Then after that, now you can make your marginal costing profit statement. So I'll use Excel here again. Okay, so let's start to get the information that we need. First things first, in your profit statement is you need to calculate your sales revenue. Okay, sales revenue. So we look how many units did we sell? We sold 12,500. Sales revenue, so we say units sold, that was 12,500, multiplied by the selling price, 80 kwacha. So we're going to say 12,500 times 80. So I'll just use this side on Word so that I'm not move, moving from one page to another looking for information. I just want to be on one page dealing with the information. So 12,500 times 80 kwacha, you're going to get 1 million. Okay, 1 million kwacha. That is the sales revenue. Yes. Oh, it's here in the question. Is that okay, madam? They always tell you the selling price. Okay. So next, just like in the trading account where you're trying to tabulate the cost of goods sold, here it's the marginal cost of goods sold. So marginal cost of goods sold. Okay, and the first item when you're trying to tabulate this, first thing you need to put in is your opening inventory. Now we haven't got any of opening inventory, so here we'll leave it as dash blank. Okay, but if there was any opening inventory, we would have multiplied it by this 35 kwacha, the uh, the variable cost per unit. Okay, this 35 kwacha, you're going to use it to value opening inventory, production, and closing inventory. Okay, the cost per unit under marginal costing is 35 kwacha. Next item that comes in is production. Okay, we produced how many did we produce? Produced 16,500 units. Excuse me. And each unit is valued at 35 kwacha. 1,500 times 35 kwacha. You get 577,500. That's the production cost. Okay, that's the production cost. Then next item is our closing inventory. Okay, so when it's a closing inventory, 4,000 units times 35, right? At 4,000 units as our closing inventory, right? So 4,000 times 35, 140,000. I just forgot to mention one thing. Um, your opening inventory and your production cost, you need to add them together. Okay, that gives you the total cost of goods available for sale. All right. When you add your opening inventory plus your production cost, you get your total cost of goods available for sale. Right. So in this case, since there's no opening inventory, so our total cost of goods available for sale is the same 5,500. Okay, 577,500. Okay. Then once you've added these two, that's when you deduct your closing inventory. Okay. So you get your total cost of goods available for sale by adding the opening inventory and the production. Then after you get your total cost of goods available for sale, then you need to deduct your closing inventory, right? So we're going to say 577,500 minus 140,000, right? So 577,500 minus 140,000, you get 437,500. Right? This is your cost of goods sold. Okay. Now, in the question, they told us we've got variable selling overheads. Right? It said variable selling overheads are 8% of the sales value. Okay. So 8%. So our cost of goods sold plus our variable selling overheads, you're going to get 8%. So 8% of the sales value, which is 1 million. So 8% of 1 million, percent of 1 million, we get 80,000. Okay, 80,000. Right? So then we add our cost of goods sold plus our variable selling overheads. Okay, so this is our total variable cost. Wow, total marginal cost of production. 475,000 plus 80,000. 437,500. That's what done. Plus 80,000. Plus 80,000 gives us 517,500. Right. So once you've got this total marginal cost of production, okay, you can now get your contribution. All right. Contribution is just the money you have after you deduct the variable costs, the money you remain with, which you have to cover now just the fixed costs. Okay. So it's basically contribution towards fixed costs. All right. So instead of gross profit here, it's contribution. Okay. Marginal costing. It's not gross profit. It's called contribution. Contribution towards the fixed cost. All right. And the way you get that, I'm going to say 1 million minus 517,500. You get 482,500. That is the contribution. Are there any questions so far? Yes. Then Once you get your contribution, that's where, as I said, contribution to cover the fixed costs. So just hold on first. Okay, so now you want to the fixed production costs. There's 317,500 here and 60,000. These two, you need to include them. Okay, fixed production. Because remember, fixed production costs and any non-manufacturing costs are part of the treated as periodical costs. So and these fixed selling overheads. All right, so fixed selling overheads. So we add them. 375,000 plus 60,000, we get 435,000. Those are our total fixed costs. So to get our net profit, 482,500 minus 435,000. 482,500 minus 435,000. 47,500. That is the net profit. Okay. So just a quick recap of what we did. All right. After you get your cost, the production cost per unit, next thing you need to get your closing inventory. That that production cost per unit, the marginal production cost per unit, that's what you're going to value your opening inventory, closing inventory, and your production. That's what you value it at. Then, when making this marginal costing profit statement, as always, you begin with your sales revenue. Okay, get your sales revenue. Next, you want to calculate your cost of goods sold. Start with the opening inventory. Value it at the production cost per unit. Then you look at the units produced. Value it at the production cost per unit. Once you've got those two values, add the opening inventory and the production. All right, so that you get your total cost of goods available for sale. Then after that, you want to get the cost of the goods sold. So you remove your closing inventory. That's how you get your cost of goods sold. Then, if there are any other variable costs like the variable selling overheads, add them so that you get your total variable cost of production, basically. And when you get your total variable cost of production, you get your contribution, which is the contribution towards covering fixed costs. The money that's left after you remove your variable costs, the money that is left to remove the fixed costs. And then you deduct the periodical costs, which are the fixed production costs, fixed selling overheads. Yes, we deduct all the periodical costs from the contribution to get your net profit.